The sky was dark red, filled with smoke and fire. Metal pieces fell from the air like rain. The ground shook again and again as explosions echoed across the battlefield. The war between humans and the alien race, the Vorik, had turned this planet into a graveyard of machines and soldiers. In the middle of the chaos lay a young soldier named Lena Ward. Her face was covered in dust. Her breathing weak, but her eyes were still sharp, still alive. She had been part of the Human Defense Unit, a group sent to hold the last human base on this planet. But now everything around her was broken. The team's tank was destroyed. The communication tower was gone. And worse, her right arm was trapped under a huge piece of metal. She tried to move, but pain shot through her body like fire. She screamed, but didn't stop. Her hand was numb, her fingers frozen. No, she whispered, trying again. The metal didn't move an inch. She could feel the blood, warm and sticky, running down her sleeve. Through her broken radio, a voice came. Lena, can you hear me? This is Captain Reed. What's your position? She pressed the talk button with her left hand. I'm near the ridge. I'm stuck, she said weakly. Hold on. We're coming! The signal cracked, then vanished. She was alone again. Around her, the battle still raged. Blue lights from alien blasters cut through the smoke. The Vorik soldiers were tall, armored, and fast. Their strange weapons made no sound, only the hiss of air and the thud of impact. Lena heard footsteps nearby. She froze. Slowly, she turned her head. A shadow moved behind the smoke. She held her breath. Was it human or Vorik? Her heart raced. She reached for her sidearm with her free hand, but the gun was gone, lost in the dirt. She felt her body grow colder. Suddenly, the radio hissed again. Lena, don't move! We see you! Then a flash of light. Green beams flew over her head, hitting something in the fog. Alien screams filled the air. Human soldiers appeared, firing back with everything they had. It was her team. The sound of human voices made her eyes fill with tears. The medic, Sergeant Cole, ran to her and knelt beside her. His armor was scratched and burned, but he smiled anyway. Hey, soldier. Still breathing, huh? Lena tried to laugh, but couldn't. Feels like... Barely. Cole checked her arm and frowned. The metal had crushed it badly. He could see the blood soaking her uniform. We need to stop the bleeding, he said quickly. He pulled out a medical kit and pressed a cold band around her arm. She screamed as the device tightened, slowing the blood flow. Sorry, he muttered. That should help for a bit. Captain Reed came running up behind him. We need to move now. The Vorik are regrouping. Cole looked at Lena's arm, then at the captain. Sir, her arm's crushed. We might have to cut it off. Lena's eyes widened. No, you're not cutting it. Lena, listen, Cole said softly. If we don't, you'll bleed out before we reach base. She shook her head violently. I can make it. I'm not losing my arm. Before they could argue more, the ground rumbled again. Everyone looked up. Something massive was moving in the distance, something mechanical. Reed turned his visor toward the radar screen on his wrist. A strange signal was flashing. That's impossible, he said. It's coming from underground. The sound grew louder. Metal grinding, gears turning. The dust began to swirl around them. Lena looked up through the haze, her eyes wide with fear and hope. Is that one of ours? She whispered. Reed didn't answer. The ground cracked open just meters away. From beneath, a huge hand made of steel burst through the soil. It pulled itself up slowly. A massive war machine, almost 20 feet tall, covered in dirt and battle scars. Cole took a step back. No way. Those units were all destroyed years ago. The machine lifted its head. Its single red eye glowed softly. A calm, robotic voice spoke through the noise. Unit 09 online. Human life detected. Beginning rescue protocol. Lena's mouth fell open. She didn't know if she was dreaming or dying. The machine's arm reached toward her gently. It scanned her crushed limb, and tiny blue lights ran over her skin. The bleeding slowed. Pain began to fade. Cole whispered, It's healing her. Reed looked stunned. That thing shouldn't even be functioning. But Lena didn't care. For the first time since the battle began, she felt hope. The machine turned its head toward the horizon, where alien ships were forming again in the sky. Enemies detected, it said. Protecting human life, commencing defense. Lena stared at it, her voice trembling. What are you? The robot's red eye flickered. I am humanity's last soldier. And with that, the giant stepped forward into the fire, its heavy feet shaking the earth. Lena's heart pounded. She whispered under her breath. Maybe. We still have a chance. The giant war machine stood tall above the burning battlefield. Its red eyes scanned the area, glowing like fire through the smoke. Every step it took made the ground tremble. The soldiers who survived the first wave of attacks could hardly believe their eyes. Captain Reed had read about machines like this in the old war records, sentinel units, built by humans long ago to protect colonies when humanity first left Earth. They were said to be unstoppable, but all of them were destroyed or lost during the early wars. Yet here one was, standing right in front of him. Lena stared at the machine as it slowly turned toward her. Her crushed arm was covered with a silver glow. The robot's nanotech was repairing the torn flesh. The pain had lessened, replaced with a strange warmth that spread through her body. She looked at her arm and saw thin metal veins under her skin, like glowing silver roots. The machine's voice echoed again. Rescue process, 68% complete. Stay calm, human soldier. Lena swallowed hard. I don't understand. You're helping me? Primary directive. Protect and heal human life, it replied. All human units are priority, Captain Reed finally spoke. This can't be real. All Sentinels were destroyed before I was even born. The robot turned its massive head toward him. Incorrect. Unit 09 was buried during the fall of Titan Base. Power restored by seismic activity. Mission continues, Reed blinked. Buried for almost 50 years. Sergeant Cole laughed softly, shaking his head. Guess humanity's not done yet, huh? Before anyone could say more, the sky flashed again. Alien ships, and sleek, black, and fast, began descending in groups. The Vorik were coming back. Their weapons glowed with blue energy, lighting up the smoke-filled sky. Reed cursed. They're regrouping faster than expected. The machine's red eye brightened. Enemy detected. Initiating defensive mode. It took a giant step forward, its arm transforming into a heavy plasma cannon. It fired. A white beam sliced through the sky, hitting one of the alien ships directly. The explosion turned night into day for a moment. The humans watched in awe. Holy hell, one of the soldiers whispered, but there were too many aliens. The sky filled with them, like a swarm of black insects. The Sentinel kept firing, but for every ship that fell, 2 more appeared. Captain Reed called out, "All units, fall back behind the Sentinel. Use its fire as cover." The soldiers ran through the dirt, staying close behind the giant. Bullets, plasma, and debris flew in every direction. The noise was deafening. Metal screaming, explosions roaring, people shouting orders. Lena tried to stand, her arm still weak. Cole helped her up. "Easy there. You're not ready to fight yet." "I have to," she said stubbornly. "If that thing can fight for us, so can I." Cole smiled. "You sound just like the old commanders from Earth." The Sentinel's cannon fired again, destroying another alien carrier. It turned its head slightly toward Lena's group. "Human soldiers, evacuate south. I will hold this position." Reed shook his head. "You'll be destroyed if you stay here alone." "Destruction is acceptable," the machine said calmly. "Human survival is not negotiable." For a moment, no one spoke. Even the explosion seemed quieter. Then Reed stepped forward and shouted, "No! Humanity stands together, machine or man." He raised his rifle and started firing at the aliens. The others followed. Bullets filled the air, glowing lines cutting through the smoke. The Sentinel paused for a second as if surprised, then aimed its second cannon and joined them. The humans and the machine fought side by side, their combined firepower tearing through the alien ranks. Lena felt her heartbeat grow faster. She picked up a fallen rifle with her repaired arm. It felt heavier than before, but also stronger. She aimed and fired. The recoil didn't hurt her new limb at all. She smiled faintly. "Not bad," she muttered. The Vorik kept pushing forward, firing strange blue beams that melted metal and rock. One blast hit the Sentinel's shoulder, ripping off part of its armor. Sparks flew everywhere. Cole shouted, "It's losing power!" The machine spoke through static. Damage level 32%. Continuing mission. Then suddenly a huge alien warship appeared above them, larger than any they had seen before. Its shadow covered the entire field. Reed looked up, stunned. "Oh no, that's their command ship," Lena whispered. "If that lands, it's over." The Sentinel looked at the sky, scanning the ship. Calculating. Probability of human survival. 0.8%. Reed shouted, "You're the smartest thing here, make it higher." Affirmative, the robot said simply. Its chest opened, revealing a glowing core, bright like a small sun. The air around it began to shimmer. Lena's eyes widened. What are you doing? Overcharging plasma reactor. Purpose, protect human life. Reed realized what was happening. It's going to blow itself up. He shouted to everyone, fall back now. The soldiers started running. Lena looked back one last time at the giant machine. Its red eye flickered, then turned blue for a moment, as if it was smiling. It raised one arm toward the alien command ship, energy gathering like lightning in its palm. Lena whispered, "You crazy old soldier." The machine spoke one final line before the world turned white. Humanity fights on. A flash, louder than thunder, lit up the entire sky. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. The loud roar of explosions was gone, replaced by the faint sound of wind blowing over broken machines and fallen soldiers. The alien ships were gone, burned, torn apart, or vanished into the clouds. A thick layer of gray smoke covered everything like a blanket. Lena opened her eyes slowly. Her ears were still ringing. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The last thing she remembered was the giant robot raising its hand toward the alien command ship. Then came the flash, so bright it felt like a second sun. She tried to sit up but felt dizzy. "Captain?" she whispered. "Not Cole?" No answer. Her heart started to pound. She looked around. Pieces of metal and armor lay scattered everywhere. Half of a human tank was buried under rocks. The sky was dark, filled with floating ash. Everything looked dead. Then she heard it, a small, broken voice through the static of her helmet radio. "Lena and Reed here. Status?" Relief washed over her. "Captain!" "You're alive!" she said. "I'm trying to be." His voice came weakly. "Cole's with me. We're near the South Ridge. Can you move?" "I think so." She looked down at her arm. The metal under her skin still glowed faintly blue. It didn't hurt anymore. She pushed herself up and started walking through the debris. Every few steps she saw the remains of alien bodies, Vorik soldiers lying motionless, their armor melted by the explosion. But there was no sign of the giant machine. "Captain," she said, "the Sentinel. It's gone." There was silence for a moment. Then Reed replied, his voice heavy. "It gave everything to save us." Lena stopped walking. Her eyes burned. She looked at the ground and whispered, "You saved us, old soldier." But as she turned to continue, her helmet scanner suddenly beeped. A faint signal flashed on her display. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien either. It was mechanical. "Wait," she said quickly. "I'm picking up something." "What kind of signal?" Reed asked. "Unknown, but it's close." She followed the signal through the ruins, pushing away metal and rocks. Finally, she saw it. A large, broken hand made of steel sticking out from under the ground. Her heart leaped. "Captain, I found it." "The Sentinel," Reed replied. "Stay alert, Lena. That explosion could have left radiation." But Lena didn't care. She started digging, using her metal arm to pull off the rubble. Her repaired hand was stronger now, almost superhuman. She tore through the debris until she uncovered part of the Sentinel's face. Its red eye was shattered, but a faint blue light flickered deep inside. "Hey," she said softly. "You're still here, aren't you?" The machine's speakers crackled faintly. "Human. Detected." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "You're alive." "System damage. Power low. Mission incomplete." "Mission incomplete," she repeated. "You destroyed their command ship." "Vorik not defeated. Signal detected." "Underground," Lena froze. "Underground? You mean they're still here?" The robot's blue light flickered again. "Enemy nest. Beneath planet surface. Must it destroy. Source." Before she could answer, Reed and Cole arrived, running toward her. They both stopped when they saw the massive figure half buried in the ground. Cole whistled. "I'll be damned. It's still breathing." Reed looked serious. "You said something about an underground nest?" Lena nodded. "That's what it said." "The Vorik are not finished. They're hiding below." Reed looked around the ruined battlefield. "That explains why the radar still shows movement. We thought it was static." The Sentinel's voice returned, weaker this time. "Core systems. Failing. Need. Fusion energy source," Cole frowned. "We don't have any of those. The fusion cells are all in the destroyed base." Lena thought for a moment. Then she looked at her own arm, glowing faintly. "Wait, what if I can power it?" Reed looked shocked. "You can't be serious." The nanotech in my arm came from the Sentinel. It's part of it now. Maybe it can connect, Cole said. That's insane. You don't even know what it'll do to you. Lena stepped closer to the machine. If this thing dies, humanity loses its strongest ally. I can't let that happen. She placed her metal hand against the Sentinel's chest. The glow from her arm spread like lightning across the robot's broken armor. The ground hummed. Energy link. Detected, said the machine. Synchronizing. The blue light in its eye grew brighter. The whole body began to move, slowly, heavily, like something waking from a deep sleep. Cole stumbled backward. It's waking up. Reed stared in awe. Lena, what did you do? Lena smiled faintly. I just gave it a reason to fight again. The Sentinel rose halfway from the ground, its voice now strong and clear. Human connection confirmed. Mission continues, Reed asked. What mission? The machine turned its head toward the horizon. The smoke parted, revealing faint red lights blinking far in the distance and the alien tunnels glowing under the ground. Mission: eliminate the Vorik source. End the war. Lena looked at the glowing lights, her heart pounding. She didn't know what waited down there. But she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't afraid anymore. She tightened her grip on her rifle. Then let's finish what you started. The Sentinel's eye glowed bright blue and its voice echoed across the silent battlefield. Humanity fights on, and together they began walking toward the dark horizon, toward the unknown. The night was cold and silent after the explosion. Smoke curled up toward a broken moon that hung low in the sky. The battlefield looked empty, but deep under the ground something was moving. Lena stood on a ridge with Captain Reed and Sergeant Cole, staring at the glowing cracks that ran across the ruined valley. The Sentinel stood beside them, towering like a metal mountain. Its blue eye glowed softly in the dark. Reed looked through his visor. There's movement down there, he said quietly. Hundreds of life forms. The Vorik are still alive, Cole muttered. I thought that blast cooked them all. Lena shook her head. The Sentinel said the real nest is underground. That was only the surface army. The machine's voice rumbled like thunder. Vorik hive detected. Defense mode activating. Metal plates shifted across its body as new cannons unfolded from its arms and shoulders. Sparks danced along its armor. It was rebuilding itself using the energy from Lena's arm. Cole stared at her metal hand. You're glowing brighter every hour. You sure you're okay? Lena nodded, though she didn't feel okay. Every time the Sentinel drew power from her, she felt a strange pulse inside her body, like her heart beating in metal rhythm. But she didn't care. Humanity needed every bit of strength it could get. Suddenly, the ground began to rumble. Cracks widened. From the darkness below, strange blue lights appeared. Not lights, but eyes. Lena stepped back. Oh no. Dozens of Vorik crawled out from the earth, their claws scraping metal, their armor gleaming under the moonlight. But these were different, bigger, faster. Their skin looked fused with alien machinery. Cole cursed. They've evolved. Reed shouted, Positions! Hold the line! The Sentinel raised its arm, charging its main cannon. Engaging enemy. The beam fired. A blinding white blast that tore through the first wave of aliens. The explosion shook the ridge, sending dirt and fire flying into the air. But the Vorik didn't stop. More climbed out of the ground, screeching like beasts. The humans opened fire. Bullets ripped through the air, lighting up the night. But the Vorik moved like shadows, dodging and jumping across the rocks. One leaped toward Cole. Lena reacted instantly. She raised her metal arm and punched it mid-air. Sparks flew as her fist crushed through its chest. The alien fell lifeless at her feet. Cole looked at her, stunned. Remind me never to mess with you. Lena didn't answer. She looked at her arm, smoke rising from the punch, and whispered, Guess I'm more machine than I thought. More aliens poured out, surrounding them. The Sentinel stomped forward, smashing through the enemy ranks. Its huge metal fist grabbed two Vorik at once and slammed them into the ground. Tactical advantage required, the Sentinel said. Requesting human coordination, Reed shouted, Copy that. Focus fire on the center. Break their formation. The soldiers followed, shooting in perfect rhythm with the Sentinel's blasts. Every hit tore holes in the alien line, but the Vorik commander, a giant with 4 arms and glowing blue veins, appeared at the edge of the battlefield. Its roar shook the ground. Lena felt her blood run cold. That's their leader. The creature raised a massive weapon, firing a beam that hit the Sentinel directly in the chest. The shockwave threw everyone off their feet. "Sentinel," Lena shouted. "System integrity, 62%, the robot said, staggering but still standing. The alien fired again. This time the Sentinel couldn't block it. Its armor cracked, blue light spilling out. Reed yelled, "We can't take another hit like that." Lena's eyes filled with fire. "Then we don't wait for it. We attack." She ran forward, ignoring Reed's shout to stop. She jumped onto a fallen piece of metal and aimed her rifle straight at the alien commander. The creature roared and fired, but Lena dodged, barely, the beam grazing her shoulder. She felt pain, but also energy flowing stronger through her arm. Her eyes glowed faintly blue as she aimed again. "For humanity!" she screamed, firing a full burst. The bullets hit the creature's chest, useless against its armor. But the Sentinel saw her move and reacted, synchronizing fire. Its cannon charged again, glowing brighter than before. The light connected from Lena's arm to the Sentinel's weapon like an energy bridge. Together, they fired. The combined blast tore through the night like a sunbeam, hitting the alien commander directly. The explosion ripped the ground open, sending shockwaves across the valley. When the dust settled, the giant alien was gone. Only a black crater remained. Lena fell to her knees, breathing hard. Her arm smoked, the metal lines glowing bright red. "Did we get it?" she whispered. "Target eliminated," said the Sentinel. Cole cheered weakly. "Ha, that's what you get for messing with humans." Reed helped Lena stand. "Nice shooting, soldier. You just turned the tide." But before they could rest, the Sentinel spoke again, its voice deeper now. "Warning. Hive activity increasing. Massive movement detected below surface." Lena looked at the cracks under her boots. They were glowing again, red this time. She whispered, "They're not done yet." The Sentinel turned toward her. "Then neither are we." As the ground started shaking again and new alien roars echoed from the deep, Lena tightened her grip on her weapon. Her blue-lit eyes reflected the flames around her. She said quietly, "Humanity fights on." And with that, the battle began again, fiercer, louder, and deadlier than before. The ground split wide open like the planet itself was screaming. From the cracks came fire, smoke, and thousands of glowing blue eyes. The Vorik hive was waking up, angrier than ever. Captain Reed and the soldiers ran for cover as the earth shook beneath their feet. Sergeant Cole shouted over the noise, "They're coming from everywhere. We can't hold them this time." The Sentinel stood in the center of the chaos, its armor cracked, its lights flickering. But still it did not fall. Its deep voice rumbled through the air. "Human retreat advised. Enemy numbers exceed safe limits," Reed yelled back. "We don't retreat anymore. We finish this." The giant machine looked down at him, its blue eye dimming slightly. "Then humanity's courage remains unchanged." Lena reloaded her rifle, her hands shaking from exhaustion. Her metal arm hummed with energy, but she could feel her strength fading. Every time the Sentinel drew power through her, she felt a pull, like part of her life was going into the machine. Cole noticed her pale face. "You're burning yourself out, Lena. Stop linking with it." She shook her head. "If I stop, it'll shut down. It needs me." Before Cole could argue, a huge roar cut through the noise. Out of the pit below, the Vorik Queen emerged, enormous, armored like a mountain of bone and steel. Her claws could crush tanks, her eyes burned like blue fire. Reed whispered, "God help us." The Sentinel turned its massive head toward the Queen. "Primary target detected." The alien Queen roared and fired a beam of plasma that hit the Sentinel square in the chest. The explosion threw burning debris in every direction. The humans ducked, covering their heads. Lena screamed, "Sentinel!" The giant stumbled but didn't fall. Smoke poured from its body. Damage critical. Energy low. It turned its eye toward Lena. "Human soldier, disconnect link. You will not survive further drain." She shook her head fiercely. "No, we're doing this together." The Queen roared again, swinging her claws and smashing the ground. The Sentinel blocked the hit, but its arm broke apart in a shower of sparks. Cole shouted, "It's not gonna last long." Reed looked around desperately. There has to be a way to end this. A weak point something. Lena suddenly remembered the old tech files she saw at base camp. A rumor that the Vorik hive had an energy core deep underground. If that core was destroyed, the entire hive would collapse. She turned to the Sentinel. "There's a core beneath her. If we destroy it, the hive dies." "Confirmed," the Sentinel replied. "Energy readings match," Reed shouted. "Then that's our shot." But how do we reach it? The machine paused. Then its voice came, calm but heavy. Solution. Overload my fusion reactor. It will reach the core. Lena froze. Overload? That'll kill you. Affirmative. Reed slammed his fist against his helmet. There has to be another way. Negative. This is the only way to ensure human survival. The Queen fired another beam. The Sentinel took the hit to protect the soldiers, its chest glowing brighter. The reactor charging faster now. Cole looked at the energy readings. Captain, it's really doing it. It's turning itself into a bomb. Lena's heart pounded. She ran toward the giant machine, ignoring Reed's shout to stop. She reached its leg and looked up at its massive face. You can't just end yourself like this. The Sentinel's voice softened. I was made for one purpose, to protect human life. I fulfill that purpose now. Tears streamed down her face. You're more than a machine, you're one of us. Then let me do what humans do best, it said. Fight and sacrifice. Lena felt something break inside her. She reached out her glowing hand and touched the machine's leg. If you're going, I'm not leaving you alone. Denied, the Sentinel replied. You are the future, live. Fight on. Before she could respond, a metal hand gently lifted her and placed her beside Reed and Cole. The ground cracked again as the Queen charged toward the Sentinel, roaring in rage. The giant turned its head one last time toward Lena. Its blue eye flickered like a dying star. Tell them. Humanity endures. And then it moved, running straight at the Queen. Each step shook the ground. The Queen screamed and swung her claws, but the Sentinel didn't stop. It opened its chest, the light inside blindingly bright. Overload. Complete, Lena shouted through tears. No! A massive explosion erupted. Brighter than the sun, louder than thunder. The shockwave threw everyone to the ground. The air turned white and hot. The mountains shook. When it was over, there was nothing left but silence. The Queen was gone. The hive tunnels were collapsing. The war machines of the Vorik burned in blue fire. Lena lay on the ground, her ears ringing. She looked up at the empty sky. You did it, she whispered. Reed put a hand on her shoulder. He saved us all. She looked down at her arm, the blue light inside it fading slowly. A single tear fell on the metal. Goodbye, old soldier, Cole said softly. Guess even machines can be heroes. Lena stood, staring at the smoking crater where the Sentinel had stood. Quietly, she said, humanity fights on. And as the sun rose over the broken land, her words carried through the silence, a promise that would never die. The world was quiet. The ground no longer shook. The sky once red with fire was now gray with dust. The war seemed over, but victory felt like pain. Lena stood at the edge of a black crater. It was huge, wide enough to swallow a city. Smoke still rose from its center, glowing faintly blue where the Sentinel had made its final stand. The air smelled of metal and ash. Captain Reed walked up beside her, his helmet cracked, his armor half burned. He looked down into the crater and said softly, That blast wiped out the entire Vorik hive. The scanners show zero movement. Sergeant Cole exhaled slowly. It's finally over. But Lena didn't speak. Her eyes stayed fixed on the center of the crater. Somewhere deep down, she hoped she would see that familiar blue light again, the one that had protected them all. But there was nothing, only silence. Reed placed a hand on her shoulder. You did good, soldier. He did good. Lena nodded weakly. He saved us. All of us. For a moment, none of them spoke. The wind blew through the valley, carrying pieces of ash and the faint smell of ozone. Humanity had survived, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like losing a friend. Hours later, the survivors gathered near what was left of their base. They built small fires, cooked the last of their rations, and treated the wounded. The Human Defense Unit had lost more than half its people, but their spirits were still alive. Cole sat near one of the fires, cleaning his rifle. I can't believe that old bucket of bolts did it, he said. Never thought I'd see a machine give its life for us. Reed replied quietly. He wasn't just a machine anymore. Lena sat a few steps away, silent, staring at her arm. The blue light that once pulsed brightly was now dim, but still there and soft and alive. She pressed her fingers against it and whispered, You're still with me, aren't you? No one answered, but she felt a faint vibration, like a heartbeat. Suddenly, a soldier ran toward them. "Captain, you need to see this." They followed him to the communication tent. A large holographic screen flickered to life. A signal was coming through from Earth Command. The voice on the other side was rough and static-filled. "This is Earth Central. We've received your transmission. The Voric fleet has gone silent. You've done it," Reed straightened. "Sir, the hive is destroyed. The Sentinel—" "We know," the voice interrupted. "That explosion was detected from orbit. You saved more than this colony. You saved every human outpost within range. The Voric invasion line is broken." Cole let out a low whistle. "Guess we made history." Lena looked up at the screen. "But they'll come again. They always do." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice said, "Then we'll be ready this time. And we'll need soldiers like you, Lena Ward." Her eyes widened. "Me? We've seen your combat feed. Your connection to the Sentinel tech is extraordinary. You're not just a survivor. You might be the future." The signal cut out. Cole grinned. "Well, look at that. The hero of Titan Base." Lena smiled faintly, though her heart was heavy. "I'm no hero." "He was," Reed nodded. "Maybe. But he'd want you to carry it forward." Later that night, when the camp had gone quiet, Lena walked back to the crater alone. The stars above were shining brighter now, free of the smoke. She stood there, the wind cold on her face, and said softly, "You said humans fight on. Well, we will." Her arm glowed faintly in reply, a small flash of blue that shimmered like a heartbeat. She smiled. "You're still watching, aren't you?" From deep inside the crater, she thought she saw a faint pulse of light. Just for a second. Then it was gone. She turned and walked away, a new fire in her eyes. Weeks later, the news spread across the colonies. The Voric were retreating. Without their queen and central hive, they were scattered and leaderless. Humanity finally had a chance to rebuild. New cities rose from the ruins. The Human Defense Unit became the Human Alliance Force, united, stronger, and more determined than ever. And in the middle of it all stood Lena Ward, now wearing upgraded armor powered by the same nanotech that once belonged to the Sentinel. Her arm gleamed silver under the sunlight, her blue eyes calm but fierce. Cole stood beside her on the base wall, looking at the horizon. "You think they'll come back?" he asked. Lena smirked. "If they do, they'll find us waiting." Reed joined them, holding a small metal plate, a piece of the Sentinel's armor, engraved with the words, "Humanity fights on." He placed it into the ground beneath a new flag, the flag of the United Human Colonies. Lena saluted, her voice steady. "For every life lost, for every machine that stood with us, we'll keep fighting." As the sun rose over the rebuilt world, the metal plate shimmered in the light. For a brief second, the reflection looked like a glowing blue eye, watching over them. Maybe it was just the sunlight. Or maybe it was the Sentinel, still guarding humanity from beyond. Either way, Lena smiled. "Let them come," she whispered. Humanity fights on. The war was over, but the scars of battle still covered the stars. The human colonies were rebuilding, city by city, world by world. Smoke had cleared from the skies, but the memories of the fallen still floated like ghosts. It had been 1 year since the Sentinel's sacrifice. On the planet Titan III, now peaceful again, a memorial stood at the edge of the black crater, the place where humanity made its final stand. The crater had become sacred ground. Flowers grew along its rim, glowing softly under the twin suns. At its center, a giant piece of twisted metal rose from the earth, all that remained of the Sentinel. And beside it stood Lena Ward, wearing her new uniform. Her right arm still glowed faintly blue beneath the metal skin. The wind brushed through her short hair as she stared into the crater, silent. A small crowd had gathered behind her. Soldiers, scientists, and survivors. Captain Reed and Sergeant Cole stood in the front row. The Human Alliance flag waved quietly above them. Reed stepped forward and spoke in a calm voice that carried through the valley. "Today we remember the day humanity refused to fall. The day we fought back. The day a machine taught us what it truly means to be human." The people bowed their heads. Even the wind seemed to pause. Lena placed a small metal plate at the base of the memorial. It was the Sentinel's last surviving memory chip, burned and cracked, but still marked with the words, "Protect human life. Always." She whispered softly, You did, old friend. You really did. Later that evening, Lena sat alone at the edge of the crater. The stars shone bright above, hundreds of them scattered across the night sky. Somewhere out there, new worlds were waiting, and maybe new wars too. She spoke softly as if talking to someone beside her. You know, I used to think heroes were only humans. But you changed that. You made me see that anything, even metal and code, it can have a heart. Her metal arm hummed gently. A soft blue pulse moved through it, one beat then another. She froze. Sentinel? She whispered. The light on her arm blinked again, faint but steady. Then, inside her helmet, a familiar voice. Weak, distant like a memory replaying through static. Lena. Humanity. Fights on. Tears filled her eyes. She smiled through them. You're still here. The voice faded, but the blue light remained. Months passed. Lena became more than a soldier, she became a symbol. The Human Alliance built new ships, stronger and smarter, using the data stored in her arm. The last gift of the Sentinel. They called the new fleet Project Guardian, ships with AI hearts and human minds working together. No longer tools, partners. Every time a new Guardian ship launched into the sky, its system started with the same line. Protect human life. Always. People across the colonies began to tell the story of Titan III, the machine that gave its life for humankind, and the soldier who carried its light. Children grew up hearing the name Lena Ward, the girl with the metal arm who never gave up. But Lena herself never wanted fame. She still visited the crater whenever she could, leaving a single blue flower at the memorial each time. One night, Cole found her sitting there again. He smiled, holding 2 cups of warm drink. You never get tired of watching the stars, huh? Lena chuckled. They remind me that we're small, but not weak. He handed her the drink. You know, the engineers said the data in your arm is still evolving. They think the Sentinel's code might be growing again, like it's learning. Lena looked at her hand. The soft blue glow pulsed gently. Maybe he's just dreaming, Cole grinned. Machines don't dream. She looked up at the stars, her voice soft. He did. They sat there in silence, watching a shooting star blaze across the night sky. For a brief second, the light turned bright blue, just like the Sentinel's eye. Cole saw it too. You think that's him? Lena smiled. I know it is. The next morning, she prepared for her next mission. A new signal had come from deep space, a distress call from a distant human colony under threat. As her ship lifted off, the voice of the AI system echoed in the cockpit. Good morning, Commander Ward. Mission objective, protect human life. Lena smiled. Let's finish what he started. The ship rose higher, breaking through the clouds. The twin suns reflected off its hull, lighting up the words written near the front. Humanity fights on. The stars stretched before her, endless, alive, waiting. She looked out the window, whispering softly to herself. We'll keep fighting. Sentinel, together. And as her ship vanished into the light, a faint blue glow pulsed deep in the crater below. Slow, steady, eternal. Because even in ruins, hope never dies. Because even when machines fall, humanity fights on.